This is the Agribusiness Report. I'm Tony St. James, and we're joined today by the Honorable Stacey Plaskett. She represents the U.S. Virgin Islands and is not just a member of the House Ag Committee, she's the chairwoman of the Biotech Subcommittee. It's great to see you.
It's so good to see you.
Let's start first with just the committee and your work on the committee. It's been an interesting year, hasn't it?
It's been a very, not the year that we expected. After having passed the Farm Bill, so much of the work that we thought would just be about implementation of the Farm Bill and making sure that its provisions were implemented by USDA, if there were any tweaks, any changes, any authorizations that needed to be done. Well, lo and behold, there were other things that nature had for us, and we've spent a lot of time, of course, on the coronavirus pandemic. But what I find interesting about the pandemic, it has really demonstrated areas of need in the Farm Bill, areas of need in our farming community, as well as food assistance programs. It's really exposed, I think, so many areas that have been vulnerable in the United States, whether it's our food supply, restaurants, farmers, livestock owners, or those families and individuals who are living on the edge already in terms of nutrition, and this has exposed and pushed them over that edge.
You mentioned that. It's one part to identify. Then there's another part of that. How do we fix this? How can we repair that? And is that answer ever simple?
Well, I think we've done it. There have been several iterations of a coronavirus bill. And the first one was kind of, okay, let's get this in place and see how this can maybe stave off the flow of this flood of what we thought might be a disaster. And we recognized afterwards that it definitely wasn't enough and that there were areas that we hadn't anticipated. So for one instance, we attempted to create mechanisms for those individuals who were needy of food. We attempted to support farmers in the loss of production. We recognized in that first bill that, individuals like Virgin Islands farmers who had specialty crops were not listed in the initial crops that would be supported. And so in the second one, we had to add them. When we talked about livestock, we didn't think about goats, other kinds of livestock that one normally wouldn't think about. And so those were added as well. And making sure that our although we're the Agriculture Committee, supporting our restaurants and supporting our hotels, we realize is vital to those individuals who are feeding this country as well. So making sure that our small business owners in the restaurants, individuals working in grocery stores, have the resources they need to not only do their work, but to be safe while they were doing it, that mom and pop grocery stores, that restaurants, small business owners and restaurants could stay open so that our farmers, our livestock owners could get those crops to them and that whole supply chain can continue.
We talked about some of these challenges, but as you mentioned, your district, the Virgin Islands, you've been really hammered by one event after another, whether we're talking drought or hurricanes. How are the Virgin Islands holding up right now?
Thanks for asking. When I first came into office, we were at the beginning of a drought. And I realized that we were not even in the drought monitor. And so the department and others couldn't verify that we were in fact in a drought because they had not been monitoring us when we were not in a drought. So putting us in the drought was very helpful so that we could monitor that. And then we had hurricanes. And so many of our farmers and our livestock owners completely lost their crops during that time, lost their animals. And now that we're in a pandemic, we're also facing that shortage as well. We've had, our local government supported our farmers in many ways, including even just having an abattoir for them to be able to do the slaughtering and have that USDA approved. And without the government, the local government feeling that they were going to have to make budget cuts, this was an area that they felt that they may need to cut as well, which would have been very hurtful to our farmers. And so we've been working on that. But one of the things that I know, and what we were doing before the pandemic happened, was in the committee where I'm the chair in biotech, horticulture, and research, really talking to those smaller farmers, talking to our researchers, talking to organic farmers. They have the solutions already. And it's for us on the committee to listen to them and put in the legislation and the support that they've already come up with to advance their advanced farming in America. For example, no one understands resilience and crop resiliency and drought resilience or even flood mitigation like farmers do. And so it's been my job and my pleasure to have them in hearings and roundtable discussions to talk with them about what are the areas in terms of research, in terms of funding, what programs are working and what's not, to allow them to have the tools that they need to be successful and to ensure that we do not continue to lose farmers in this pandemic or in any natural disaster that may come about.
We have just about a minute left, and you talked about the work that the committee has done. As you look towards the next session, what do you see your committee handling next session?
Well, one of the things that we touched on in this last round that I really want to delve in more is support for farmers in terms of stress and mental health. I think that that's an area that we don't often talk about, but is tremendously important to our farmers to make sure that they and their families have the support that they need. Another area that I've been talking with members across the island in my own caucus is in terms of broadband and how the internet can really support farm growth and also support those families, children who are the children, school children who are the children of farmers, to make sure that they can get their work done in this virtual world that we're in. Or even when we're not, that they don't have to go to locations to get homework done because their farm is so remote in such a rural area. I'd like to really work on that. And then the other area, of course, that is burgeoning still is hemp. My subcommittee is responsible for hemp. And so I want to figure out ways that this can grow in a safe way, ways that it can be supportive of the American agriculture and a new entrance coming into it cannot be gobbled up by larger ones, and they can have a piece of the pie of this burgeoning market.
It's always so great to see you and enjoy your enthusiasm about what you bring to the committee and the work that you do, not just for your district, but for all American producers.
I'm so appreciative of this avenue that you have opened up for us to be able to get the word out to so many farmers and to see so many of my colleagues from different parts of the country representing different backgrounds and ideologies. We all always come together. So many people don't realize that the Agriculture Committee is probably one of the most bipartisan committees in Congress, and we really want to keep it that way.
We wish you the best.
Okay.
We'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Again,
God bless. Take care.
It's the Honorable Representative Stacey Plaskett of the U.S. Virgin Islands on today's Agribusiness Report.